Yo, what's going on, guys? This video we're going to be doing Adam from HackMyVm. This is box sort about solid easy. And yeah, let's get on to the video. As always, I'm sorry for my terminals here. I'm still running a discovered my SAR 10.0.0.1/24/IT0 to grip out for PCS. We do have the IP of the box 10.0.72, so the control shift Z for the map scan. So the MMISSC for default scripts, my information was kind of posted in the IP. Doing this, I'll do my verbose. This seemed like we have an open port for port 22. And this seemed like port 22 is the only port that we discovered. We have a port 22 open for SSH, is open SSH for Debian. And that's the only port. So I want to start by doing a banner grab on port 22. So I'll do like a net HackMyVm. We'll do this on port 22. And right now I'm just making sure that the banner does match with this nmap scan, right? And we don't have any versions or anything with this as well. So next, since we don't have anything off to go, or we don't have anything to go off of, or any enumeration or any service, we don't have port 80 as well. I'm going to start by scanning for a -SU, which can be for UDP. We'll do the first 1,000 ports since UDP scans do take a while. So we'll do -P. We'll do 1 through 1,000. We'll do this for 10.0.0.72. We'll do my verbose. Doing this, we can wait and see what we can get. So after a while, we have a port 623 open for UDP, open for ASF, RMCP. So I'm going to go to Firefox. I'm going to open we'll just do this for hack tricks for 623. I do want to look at some documentation for this. We do have this for IPMI, for port 623 for UDP, right? So right now I want to see if I can do some enumeration or discovery for this port, since we do have this open. We do have the IPMI version, so we can probably check the version. We can also use this IPMI tool for, I guess, for allowing for, I believe it's anonymous, since it's not specifying or I want to see if we can just do like anonymous login for this. So I'm going to copy this since we can list the users. I'll just go into this banner grab here. We'll change this to 10.0.72. We'll change this to roots. We'll change the password just to blank. We'll do user list. Doesn't seem to work. We don't have user. We'll try this for admin. And here we do have valid user for admin, right? So just trying user or like admin, root, or really any user would work. Just doing some default enumeration. We are able to find the users for under this name section for just anonymous login, right? With no password. I believe there's also a scanner that we can use to confirm this. We can dump the hashes for this. So I'll use like MSF console here. So this scanner allows us to dump the hashes. Most likely it's going to be a username followed by the salt and also by the hash password. And usually it's going to be for SHA-1. So put that in there. We'll go to show options. We'll set our host for the remote host for 10.0.0.72. We do have our port for 623. I'm just going to run this. And we do have the salts followed by the hash. And we do have user for admin for this password. I want to see, since we do have admin for this password, I want to see if we do have any different users under, I'm just going to exile this. I just want to check for admin for this password. And it does seem like these are going to be the same users, right, that we did use with anonymous and also with password, right? So I just use it for username for admin and for password. Since we do have this output, I do want to pipe this out to awk. Awk will allow us to specify the specific field. So awk, what it does is actually, it separates each section to like row 1. I usually just think of this like from rows or fields. So if I do if I pipe it out to awk, we'll do -F for the field. In this case, we do have this for just by space. So I'm just going to do this for space. We'll just do, I believe, semicolons. We'll do print for $1. And you'll see that this is the first section. So it's probably going to be the second section for users. And you'll see that we have we do have that section for users, right? So I just want to output this to like the users.txt. We cat this users.txt. And we just do have the output that we defined from that command, right? So I'm going to go into LeafPad. I'm just going to open this users.txt. I do want to take off this true, the name. I also want to take off all these options for true, right? So cat the users.txt. And now we just have a list full of users. So since we do have the users, we do want to get the hashes going into MSF console. Let's go back into, let me copy this dump hashes. So go to show options, set the R host 10.0.075 or 72. We just run this. We do have a admin, so we do want to find hashes with this. For the user file, I want to see if there's any other users that we can find, because this is just based off this user.txt. So I'm gonna set the user underscore file. We'll just set this to user share. I believe I do have sec list under here for usernames. I do want to use this dash usernames. We'll use this .txt. We'll just run this. And this should output the hash and also the salt for all these users. But the good thing is that we already used the other command for having that users.txt, right? So we don't need the users. We can just confirm that these are all the users on the box, or all the users with the service for this IPMI. Because using this word list, it's only going to go through what we have for the word list. Using the service actually does confirm what users are on the service, right? So we don't have to manually guess and see if we do miss a username or a password just using a simple word list, right? In this case, we're using this toadnet 10 million users usernames.txt. So we're not taking that guess. I do like using a script for, I believe it was a Pollen. I'll just search up for like GitHub. It was what's the name of the service? IPMI. I do have the IPMI poner. This will allow us to dump hashes and also to specify the specific hash within each user. So doing this, if you do copy and paste the hashes, let's say if you use like awk to just get the username and also the hash, not the salt, but just the hashes, this will not crack. The reason for this is because it's not specified in a certain format type for John. So using this tool will allow us to actually do that. This is a pretty good tool. I'm just going to git clone this. I'll just do against requirements. Make sure I do have all the requirements. I'll do Python 3 for IP. We'll do a -minus host for 10.0.072. And this is going to check for port 623, but you'll notice a difference between the hash or between the scanner. You'll see that this is just simply outputting the username, the salt, and the hash, right? But looking here, if we do find, when it does try for the user, when it does find a valid user, you'll see that it is put under a certain salt and also a specification for RAKP, which is going to be for this IPMI. It is enumerating for users since it is showing for wrong username. Instead of going manually or letting the script, I guess, go through admin roots and default username or whatever the username is, we already have the users. So max out this. We already do have the users.txt. So I'm going to go into, I'll just do Python 3 for IP. We'll do -minus help. We do have an option here for UW. So do -minus host for 10.0.72. We'll do -UW. We'll do this for, we do have the users.txt, which we're going to go back a directory. We'll do -OH. We'll just name this final underscore hashes.txt. I'm just run this one more time. And I do want to check that it does output it to the final underscore hashes.txt. So I'll do Control-Shift-O. And it did go into a final hash. Got the final hashes.txt. And you'll see that now we do have this for 10072 for admin at RAKP, right? So this, if we do put this into like John, this will crack. So it does seem like this, it is not going through each user. So I'm gonna customize the script a little bit. I'm gonna VI into IP, and I want to put this into I'm going to check where this is returning the output file, or where it's returning the number of entries. So we do have this for if valid for break. So here we do have a for loop. So when it does get the hash, it is outputting the hash, right? But when it does find the first valid, it is breaking. So it is breaking out the loop. We can just do a continue. I'll put this for... I'll do this for this too. What it is for continue. So when it does find a valid hash, it doesn't stop. So I'll right quit out of this, run this one more time. And right now I just do want to check that it does not break out of the loop, and it just keeps going within our list. So it doesn't just break and it continues with the next user. So if done correctly, we do have users.txt, we do have admin, which it does go for. It doesn't stop. The next user should be Annalise. We do have this for Annalise. If I check my final underscore hashes.txt, we do have this for Annalise. And we don't want this to be, it just seemed like this is overwriting the file for final underscore hashes. So we also don't want this to overwrite. So we got that to continue. Let's go up here into to where if we go into write, let's see where it's writing this file. It's not. So here we do have this writing to the file. You'll see that we do have the W to write as F for the W. Instead of W, I do want to append this to the file. So it's not going to overwrite it, but it's going to put it over against the next text that we do have. So if I right quit. Now if I cat this final, let me just remove this final underscore hashes. I'm going to run this one more time. Now this file that we did have for the final underscore hashes, I am expecting for the user to overwrite. It's not gonna go. It's not gonna go together or go into the next line. I mean, or let's see how it's being outputted. So if I get the final underscore hashes, it does seem to be outputting together. So I'm gonna go back into the final hashes. Let's delete the host since we are getting the host, which is going to be for the IP address. I do want to, let's delete the host. We don't want the host. We just want the username and the final hash. I'm keeping the semicolon here, followed by the users, because I want this to be outputted within the semicolon later on when we're using John to specify the username or what is associated with the username and the password, right? So we'll put that into just the user in the final hash. I do want to put a \n here so it returns a new line. So do Python 3 again. Let's actually delete the file. So this should append and it should start a new line. And also they should be separated within each hash, right? So we have the find underscore hashes.txt. We have this for admin. We can lay Annalise right to that file. And now we do have them separate on each, right? On each new line. So we have admin and Annalise. Just to make sure, we do have the next user, which should be for Bruella. And now we do have the 3 users on separate lines, so that we can use John to crack this. So doing this, we can just wait to get all the hashes. And then from there, we can start by using John to crack the hashes. After a while, we do have the hashes finally here. We do have all the final hashes, which are put into this final underscore hashes.txt, all the way from admin, all the way to the last user for, what was that last user? For mail. Just to confirm, we have this all the way from admin all the way to mail for the last user. So here I do have this final score hashes.txt. Now we can use John and crack this. So I'll use John minus word list. I'm just going to use a rocku.txt. So I'll do this for user share word list rocku.txt for hash, or for the final hashes.txt. And you do see that we do have that for admin, which it did match. And also do have all the users. So another thing, a good thing about John is that when I use the minus show option for the final underscore hashes.txt, it does put it into a format for us for Hydra to use. Hydra, if you use like the -c option, it will use the semicolon, right? So test against admin against his password, and at least against Honda, and so on going down the list. So I do want to output this to like a final. I'll put this back into a final underscore passwords, final underscore list .txt. Let's go back. Now I do have the final underscore list .txt. I do need to remove the, if I go to the down here, because it is output from, so I'll do Hydra, we'll do -c for that, the final underscore list .txt. We'll do SSH. 10.0.072 on port 22. I'll do -i server session. Also do -v verbose. It doesn't seem to find any. Do we have the file in there? And it does seem like it did find a valid user and also a password for Onida and also Jigaman. So I'm going to see if this does work for port 22 for SSH. I'm going to SSH into the valid user. We'll do it at 10.0.075 or 10.0.72. We do yes. We do have the password for Jigaman. Start on that. We do ID. And now we're under this user. So now we are under Onida. I'm going to do ID command, nothing under here. I'll do sudo mycel. We don't have anything for sudo. We do have a user.txt. I'm going to go under /var. We'll go into www. We'll go into HTML or cd into HTML. We do a profile.php, register.php, login.php. We also do have a database file. I'm going to cat this, or I'm just going to file into Atom 2400 database. And this is SQLite, which we can use. So I'm going to start a Python server. So I'll do Python 3 minus http.server on port 8081. So we do have that running. I'm going to make a directory for database, cd into database, wget http 10.0.072 on port 8081. We do have this for this database file. And that should be the same file, right? So we can use SQLite, I think. SQL3. We do have 3, right? We'll use this against Atom. I believe it was .tables to list the tables. And then it's I believe it's the same thing. Select start from. We'll do this for login attempts. Doesn't seem like we do anything under there. We'll do the same thing for users. And we do have a hash here for Atom. So I'm gonna we'll copy this. We'll put this into a hash.txt. We'll use John minus minus word list. We'll do this to equal to share user share word list rockq.txt. We'll just go against this hash.txt. We'll use John minus show for hash.txt. And we do have the password cracked already. So we do have this for Madison. And we don't have another user for under here. I'm just cat the /etc password, check for any users. I'm going to grep for bash. And we just have Onida and also for root. We're already under Onida, so I'm going to try this for root. So I'm going to switch user root. Get my root.txt. And now we are under root, and that's our root.txt. Doing some more enumeration into this box. If you check into the connections, if you like go into netstat, you won't have this netstat command, but if you do ss minus tlmvp, you will see that you also do have a port 80, which is going to be for HTTP. The reason I look here is because on the mmap scan, we didn't have port, I believe we didn't have any other port except port 22, right? So we only did have port 22, and that was the only port that was open. So I was guessing there's going to be something internally. So I'll keep this under the same database. I'm just going to go under or try to find chisel. So I do have chisel, so we can port forward this to see what this is. So I'm going to start chisel into a, I'll just use the binary under the same binary that I'm going to transfer over to the other machine so I can port forward. So I'll use chisel. We'll do this for the server. We'll do 10.0.0, or we don't need to specify the port since it's going to be just local, right? Or we don't need to specify the IP address since it's going to be local. We'll do minus reverse. We'll do minus port for 8000. Now we do have this reverse tunneling. And then we need to transfer this into, I'll just transfer this to the home directory, right? So wget http 10.0.0.175 on port 8081 for chisel. We'll just start a Python server. We don't have this under my history. Do Python 3 -m http.server on port 8081. We have this for chisel. Now we are going to be the client. So do chmod +x for chisel. So if I remember correctly, we can do a client. Let's try to, I think -r is going to be, I think we just need to specify our IP address for port 8000. I believe the reverse is going to go back, or I think the R is going to be for what's on the local host. So it is for, I think we'll just do it for port 80. This is for back to port 80. So it is connected. Now let's see if this works. We'll do mmap scan of ports on localhost. And we do have port 80 open, right? Yeah, so we do have port 80 open. So I'm just going to go to localhost. And now we do have Adam owns the world. So we successfully port forward from the internal back to our local host. So now we have gallery, login. This is we do have the static files under, I can't break the connection, but we do have the static files. I believe it was under Adam, and the password was Madison, I believe, that we did have, which was for, I believe it was under, was that final, was under database. If I use John minus my show for hash.txt, and we did have this for Madison for that last password. We can log in. We finally become root, and Madison was the password for root. We can switch to the root, copy and paste for Madison, and cat out root.txt. Well, guys, pretty much in the video. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.